Hey, this is Michael Matry. I'm an inspirational speaker, poet.
Hey, what's up? I'm Jason. I'm a music artist. I also am an emergency manager and help keep campuses safe.
My name is Vladimir. I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts. I am a barber, professional barber. You can find me on IG at DeRay Styles.
Hello. Welcome, everybody. My name is Michael Matry, and this is the Alert and Calm podcast. As usual, I'm here surrounded by my fellas, Jason Ferg.
Yo.
Vladimir DeRay.
In the building.
Let's get it. Man, I am so excited about this trilogy that we have going on here. And for this episode, we're really talking about our connections with others, leadership, that comes to mind, fatherhood, that comes to mind, marriages come to mind, relationships come to mind, who we are for other people. And I always said that, we're a collection of these different people. We're a collection of these different people. We have who we are to ourselves, who we are in our mind when we speak, when we talk, when we think, when we reason, who we have to be when we go to the workplace, who we have to be when we're interacting with our kids, who we have to be when we're interacting with our lover, our spouse, our friend. We have these different spaces in life. And so how we show up to those spaces is important because that defines who we are, right? That defines our legacy, and that defines what we're leaving behind and how we're moving forward. And then there was always this analogy that people used about everybody that you encounter, there's a spiritual bank account. And are you making deposits? Are you making withdrawals? And when you're one of those people that make too many withdrawals, you're that type of person that nobody wants to be around. Everybody's avoiding your phone call because you're draining, right? Or if you're somebody who's constantly making deposits, people can get addicted to that, and they're always looking for you to fill their cup, right? So I want to talk a little bit about that, talk a little bit about the connections that we have with people, the connections that we have with the people that we love, and how do we maneuver around with that? How do we establish those connections, and how do we maintain those connections, and what do those connections mean to us? So I started off with just Jason. Like, when you think about who you are to the world, what do you think that is comprised of?
Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I would even say I haven't been focusing on it as much, but more so focusing on, and this kind of ties back to conversations that we've had before, but focusing on grounding myself in purpose, tapping into being at peace within myself, and from that space, just giving freely, incorporating the wisdom that I've gained over the years. And so I don't know what the demand from the community, from the world at large, from my family, from any one individual might be one day to the next. But what I believe is that if I focus on what I just spoke about, that I'll be equipped to show up in the most appropriate way and have something that I can offer. Yeah. So having some kind of pre-established idea of myself as it relates to the world and who I think I am in the world and what I think the world needs of me, I have not focused on that as much. More so, I've been focused on being fit, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, so that if and when there is a demand placed on me by one of my children or my wife or one of my brothers or my job or whatever, some stranger on the street, that fitness has equipped me to be able to show up right then and right there. So that's been the approach that I've been taking, and that I've found has allowed me to kind of stay light on my feet about it all.
So you're saying basically just if you work on yourself and being as fit as possible, then whatever's demanded of you in your spaces, you'll be able to provide with clarity and with power because you've already taken the time to be fit. Yeah. I like that. That's dope. What do you think, D?
And I mean, when you hit Jason with that question, I'm like, oh man, that's a heavy one, because like you said, I don't know. But I think it's for me, I just don't know. You know, it's you're going through life having experiences and doing what you're supposed to do, staying vibrating up here, avoiding the drains, you know, like you said. And it's almost like, for me, I would say I'm always trying to vibrate high, because I know at some point there's going to be something that's going to try to get me to vibrate low. Like you said, it could be something while you're working, something from a family member, something from a loved one that lives with you, or a friend that gives you a call, and it's like, well, here we go, unplug that little drain, and then I need to pour in, or it's going to be a draining call or whatever. I think on a daily basis is the awareness of who you are, and when you're focused and you're disciplined and you're going through life and you're doing the things you need to do, there are people out there seeking that energy that you have.
Yeah.
And what happens is they gravitate towards you because they're like, man, I really, really want to know what keeps you driven.
Yeah.
I don't have this drive that you have. Pour into me.
Yeah.
That's the phone call. That's the conversation from a loved one, a stranger on the street, from work. It might be a client that sits in my chair.
Yeah.
They come for a haircut, but most of the time, they're like, man, you know what? Whew, I'm in your chair. All right, yeah, mid fade, 2 on top, line me up, whatever. Yeah, man. This week has been tough.
Yeah.
And here you go. You're like, you're at the same time working, but then you have to pour and give something to this person to revive them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're giving a haircut. On top of that, you're giving like advice or some type of therapy session.
But you know, the dope thing is, like, even just giving them space to just let it out. Even
right.
if you're not even saying a ton, but just giving them a safe space to speak.
Right.
You know? And with or without something to offer back, just giving a person the space to be heard, to be seen, to be able to, like, speak without judgment, you know, while you're providing the service. So when you speak about being a professional barber, a lot of people don't know the depth of what that actually means. But, like, man, having that experience, you know, it's so valuable to community, because so much more than just dope haircuts come along with that.
Right.
You know, so I salute you for that work, because day in and day out, you just never, again, talk about fitness, you never know who's going to sit in your chair and what their needs might be. But every day when you get up and you go to work, it's not just making sure that your clippers are ready and that, you know, you're ready to cut. But it's like, I got to be ready for whatever energy is going to sit in my chair.
My way.
When I pop that cape, put that clip on the back of the cape, you just never know what you're going to get hit with.
Right. And many times I've had clients that pour into me.
That's right.
You know,
that's dope.
So that chair is the barber industry for me. It's given me the space to, like, you have to really see it. You have to really understand it. Like, the chair is so important.
It's a place of exchange.
Yeah, exactly. It's a place of exchange. Like, someone sits in that chair, they might come and pour into you. Someone comes into that chair, you need to pour into them. Or someone comes into that and you both are filling, giving each other something. And it's a very interesting position.
Yeah.
But I would say, like, it's just, for me, what I can give to the world is just continue to, like, vibrate high.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I want to be able to, like, have that aura where it's like, man, there's something about him, There's something about him that I need to speak to him, or I just want to ask him a question, or I appreciate his presence, And for me, that's good. That's good enough,
And we talked before about what we would ask of our 60-year-old selves. I would ask my 60-year-old self, to get a barber's license and cut some hair. I real talk, I would love to spend, some years, perhaps when I'm 60 plus, just like curating a space where people can come into and enjoy and feel safe and like get dope haircuts, but like we can have conversation, because so many dope conversations also happen in the barbershop.
Yeah.
So I can see myself 60 plus spending time literally behind a chair cutting hair and like facilitating conversations in the community.
Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope. Keep it real, Jason. Does the world have expectations of you? And do you feel those expectations? Do you feel the weight of those expectations?
I do. I think you framed the question differently, and in framing it that way, I would say yes. I, by trade, I'm in the field of emergency management, and I'm in the Bay Area. Just recently, there was a 7.0 earthquake near Eureka, California, off the coast of Eureka, California, which is north, going toward Oregon. I'm in the Bay Area. My phone started buzzing about that earthquake. And then following that, my phone started buzzing about a tsunami warning in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Yeah.
So that meant like where we live and
Right.
where I work. Literally all of my devices started blowing up. Like, what are we going to do? Because my job is emergency management at a major university. And so the vice chancellor of administration and this person and that person, everybody's calling me like, you're the emergency manager. What are we going to do? There's a tsunami warning. Do we need to evacuate that building? Do we need to get people to go from here to there? Like, what's the plan? And I felt that.
Yeah.
I felt that. In that moment, I tapped in everything that we've been talking about. I tapped in that moment. I breathed. I took a moment. I prayed. And I tapped into that fitness. The stuff that I've been working on in the background, as you spoke about, Vlad,
Yeah.
like, that's when it all counts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when it all counts. No warning, no notice. It's just like this.
Right.
Whatever you were doing doesn't matter now. What matters right now is like you're on.
Yeah.
And so the same is true if it's 2:30 in the morning and I hear little knuckles knocking on the bedroom door. Somebody had a bad dream or whatever it might be. It's like you're on.
Yeah.
You're sleepy, but you got to get up and meet this person where they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not always easy, but there's so much fulfillment in it. And one thing that I have learned over the years is just as sure as we talked about withdrawals and deposits, I make withdrawals from my own account to pass to others, but I also have to be as intentional about depositing back into my account.
Ooh,
Right.
So that there's something there
that's it.
the next time, right?
Right.
I can't, like, after those two encounters, like, I'll just use those as examples. It's like, what am I gonna do for me so that I can be back and be ready for the next time?
Yeah.
Yeah, be back and be ready. I think that is critically important. There's a lot of men out there that need to hear that.
Yeah, it's real.
A lot of men out there run themselves ragged, deplete themselves. We hear the stories about single moms. We hear the stories about what women have to do and the burdens that they have. But men, we kind of are not allowed to speak about our plight, to speak about our burdens, to speak about us being tired.
Right.
The responsibility, the expectations
Yeah.
that come from being a man.
Right.
And I think Ayanna Van Zant said it one time, she said that, men have been, especially black men, have become doing machines.
Yeah.
That there's this expectation in society now that we're just supposed to do and do and do. Even when it comes to dating and courtship, we're supposed to be the ones doing and doing and doing and doing. And from a family responsibility perspective, a lot of men, they take that on because that's what you do as a man. You take on the responsibility for your family, for your kids, work, whatever it is. But we don't really talk about how to replenish that spiritual bank.
It's funny you say that because when you said the deposit, as men, we really got to figure out, we're always figuring out how to continuously deposit. Withdrawal, deposit. The man is always going to be withdrawing. We're always depleting ourselves. We're always giving. Like you just said, we're the ones that's required to do. We're doing. And then when it's time, if we even think about wanting to, like, hey, do for me, it'll be nice. it's like, no, whoa, what do you mean? whoa, wait a minute here. What do you mean, you know what I mean? So it's like when, you know, I for me, when something's done for me, I don't even know how to accept it.
Yeah, that's real.
That's the scary part. It's like, man, that's for me? Wow, I'm like, and people be like, say thank you, like do something, like be grateful, like are you happy? And I'm like, yeah, I am.
But I'm also
like weirded out because it's like I didn't do it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Flinching.
Somebody else did it, and it's like, what do I have to do something to accept it? You know what I mean? So
man, that's powerful. I can
real.
say something on that though. I've had some situations where I was burned by the gifts that I was given.
Ooh.
And
so that creates a PTSD.
It creates a little situation, right? Because people have done certain things, but then you learn later on, them wasn't for free.
It's attached to a string. It's attached to a string.
That wasn't for free. So here I am trying to be vulnerable and accept, like, oh, this is so awesome. Thank you very much. I receive it.
Yeah.
And then later on, it comes back out in some other conversation, and you like, oh, so I owe you, huh?
Right.
You actually started a tab.
Yeah.
It's a setup.
It's not the same as a gift that was for free. And so I have found that, and I don't know if this is true, brothers, you all have to tell us, perhaps in the comments or hit us up some kind of way. Tell us if it's your experience as well. But sometimes we're not as able to freely accept and or appreciate gifts because we wonder, like, what's the catch?
Right.
You know, what's the catch? Why now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Like,
or what's attached? Are you giving this because you're seeking something, or so, and that's unfortunate. I think it's dope when we find sincerity in a person's desire to purely give just because they desire to see us happy.
Yeah.
Just because they actually take pleasure in seeing us enjoy.
Yeah.
Versus like, I'm doing this because it's a certain calendar date, and I should, and low key, I'm doing it because it makes me look good to do it.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I want to post that I did this for you.
And you know, for me, gifts. I am more grateful for gifts when I give it to myself.
Yeah.
And when I'm given a gift, there's so much like static to accepting it.
Yeah.
It all depends where it's coming from. So there are certain people that give you a gift. You're like, oh, okay. There's no strings attached. I know this.
You better accept this gift.
You're my man.
Good looking.
I know. I appreciate this, but there's a wide range of people. If I'm giving something, it's like, oh, okay, I appreciate it. And then there's like this little anxiety behind it, where it's like,
now what do I have to do for you?
now what do I have to do for you? Or when something was done for you, and then a little later on down the road, it's thrown in your face if they get upset with you. Like, I did this for you. It's like, wow. That drives the man to not want to accept.
Yeah. I
all.
end up just wanting to clean. I'm like, all right, yes, you did that for me. Don't do anything else.
For me.
Yeah.
Don't do it, because I can't be and this kind of like ties into how even I see finances. I don't want to have some bill that I don't know about. I'm racking up. Yeah, it's like, what is this app? Why am I paying $9.99 a month for an app that I don't even use? Like, I would get so frustrated by that, even if it's like the dollar amount is like whatever. It's not without, but I don't want to be being billed for something that at number one I never even knew about.
I never asked for.
You over here charging me like this feels like you're stealing from me.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
And that lack of sincerity is just really complicated, you know. And I've been to the point as of late where I'm just like, don't give me a gift. If you insist, give me the cash.
Yeah,
you know, like
yeah.
Just give me the cash
with Christmas gifts.
Yeah, I understand. I could just take the cash. I don't care if it's $15. Just give me the cash.
Right.
I'll do something. I can take the $15 and go hook myself up with the whatever.
Where does that come from, though?
I don't know. Well, I think maybe a part of it is, I'm an adult. I know what I like. I know what I might need. And look, there are people who might know my taste and they may say like, oh, I'm going to buy him this. But I low-key have kind of become a minimalist.
Yeah.
So I also just don't want more things.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, this is a nice thing that you got me.
Yeah.
But if I didn't truly have a need for it, I'm not going to appreciate it, because I've been going through this whole other process of determining when it's time for me to get a new thing.
Yeah.
And somebody else just kind of like inserting themselves in my process and being like, oh, here's this new thing. I'm just like, oh, this is, and I can look at it and be like, this is dope.
Yeah.
But I don't need to add that to my,
list of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's funny how you even mention like dates and stuff, because Father's Day is one of the saddest holidays there is out there. Like, it's ranked like underneath Easter bunnies and all this. Like, it's ranked underneath Halloween. It's ranked low. And I can't help but to think that's because, just keeping it real and calling a thing a thing, there's a good percentage of fathers out there that do their thing, but then there's a really bigger percentage out there that jack it up, that don't do what they're supposed to do as a man. And so when you have expectations that are laid upon you as a man, I guess the other side of that is, you as a man, what do you have as an expectation for yourself? What are some things that you see maybe brothers out there not doing that you feel like they should be doing? You know what I'm saying? What are some things that you feel like these are the basic expectations a man should have for himself? Is what?
Chasing the wrong tail.
Woo! Talk about it.
We all are guilty of it at some point, but it's like to continuously make the same mistake over and over and over, chasing the wrong person, or what statistics say this is who and what you should have as a partner. And I feel like that's one thing many men just continue to just make this mistake. And what you notice is, in the long run, if that choose your choice, right? If that choice becomes the biggest downfall of your future, where it's like, man, I made this choice on this because of A, B, C, and now I'm dealing with the rest of all my issues and problems are coming from A, B, C, because she's so what? I mean, these days you call it, she's a baddie, she's this, she's that, but you didn't pay attention to what you were supposed to pay attention to. Social media is starting to expose.
Uh-oh.
Social media is exposing these weird and crazy expectations of what a man should do.
Yeah. And
it's just like, men are starting to say, no, if I'm going to do that, that's for me.
Yeah.
Right? If I'm going to share me, I need to share me with the right person, not someone who's just going to come in and then now, here we are. Mm-hmm. I got to provide. I got to pour. I got to withdraw. I got to give. And you're not getting any of that back because you got with someone who set their expectations. They gave you the contract. They're like, this is it.
Tick.
You're gonna take from me. You're gonna take everything I got? Yeah.
Me.
All right, cool. Where do I sign? So now we're being a little bit more cautious, like, nah, I'm all set. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would say if it was one thing that I think us as men owe ourselves, owe the world, and that is just be well. I would start there because so much flows from that. We experience a lot in life. Just the journey of growing up as a man in this world, it could be difficult. You kind of acquire a lot of bumps and bruises, a lot of emotional bumps and bruises that we don't always have the space to freely speak about, talk about, but we take those things in stride. We pick ourselves up and we keep pushing. And as a result, many of us are living bruised as adult males.
Yeah.
The decisions that we make from a bruised place, the decisions, the actions that we take, the decisions we make, the actions we take from a less than optimal health space can be warped. And some of the choices that we make, even in partners and things like that, can be driven by things that are unresolved from our past. And so it's kind of repeating cycles.
Right.
And so I think as we pursue wellness and commit to it, and it is an all-out fight. If you don't find yourself looking yourself in the mirror and committing to fighting, that's another thing too. As men, we learn to fight, to defend, and to protect. But the one person that we sometimes leave out is ourselves. We'll fight for so many other things.
Right.
You'll fight for, like, if you saw your cousin in a fight, you'll jump in and fight for your cousin and whatever it might be.
Right.
But then when you look yourself in the mirror, and it's like you got goals that you can't seem to achieve, that fight is dead.
Yeah.
But when you say, like, no, you are worthy of fighting.
Yeah.
I'll put my hands on anybody who is not treating you, looking yourself in the mirror. Like, we ourselves can neglect ourselves. We're ready to fight for everybody else.
Wow.
But you are not willing to go that distance for yourself.
Right.
But then when we get to that point where we look ourselves in the mirror and say, if I'm going to roll up my sleeves and fight, it's going to be for this cat right here.
Yes.
I'm going to fight.
Wow.
And I'm going to get over the hump. We talked about getting over the hump. I'm going to find a way to push until I crack the code and get over this thing that has been holding me back. I'm going to get to the bottom of why I carry this chip on my shoulder about this thing. I'm going to figure out how I form this habit and make sure that I'm not being continuously tripped up by this habit.
Yeah.
I'm going to fight, and I'm going to promote total wellness in this being to the point where I now am at a place where I can command the right kind of healthy partnership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But until I get to that place of wellness, almost like energy attracts like energy.
Yeah.
And so it's low key sometimes the energy that we are attracting because of where we are at that moment.
Right.
Yeah.
But as we grow and evolve and we come into that place of, as we spoke about before, being at peace, being grounded, there's only a certain kind of energy that's going to be able to co-occupy that space. It's only there's a lot of energy that will come into that space and be like, oh, this is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
This exposes me.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think it's important that we, as quickly as possible and as sustainably as possible, will get there.
Yeah.
When we get there, so much will make sense.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I think that's so powerful. And when we talk about being grounded and the characteristics of a man, the expectations of a man, there's some things that I'm learning even now at this age. When I look at the way God made us stronger, louder, and the leaders for a reason, And I think with that expectation, I think there comes an expectation as a man. You got to be able to control how you hurt and who you let out on when you're hurt, right?
Yeah.
That means because you're stronger, you got to control yourself and not act out physically, because you're the lion. You know what I'm saying? And if the lion comes and carries out his anger to the rest of the jungle, if there's hell to pay for everybody who's in the lion's path, right? Your words, when it comes to your kids or your spouse or whatever, it's like control the way you talk, control the way you act, control the way you think when you are in a place of pain, because it could be disastrous. Because you have power, that power can be used the wrong way. And so as I'm learning and as I'm growing, I'm realizing that when I retreat and the rituals that I do for myself for when I'm in pain and when I'm hurting are important, because the way that I interact with the world, even when I'm not in my right state of mind, even when I'm not at my best, it matters,
Yeah.
There's some times where I get triggered and I'll call this guy and I let them have it on the phone.
Yeah.
And the world doesn't see that side. I'm like, oh, you kidding me? And I just go off on that phone, man. But I need an outlet.
Yeah.
I realize I need an
thank
outlet.
God for a brother.
I
you can
thank
do
God
that
for a
with.
brother's ear, because if I have a brother's ear, then that doesn't get taken out on a children's ear. You know,
Yeah.
that doesn't get taken out on a spouse's ear, or in a way that is directly towards them, and then when it's not even really about them. So,
And
Yeah.
don't leave out one more though. It doesn't stay inside your heart and fester.
and man, you took the words right out of my mouth.
So to be able to release it,
You're not abusing yourself.
it's not abusing yourself. 'Cause
Yeah.
we could talk about the kids, we can talk about the spouse, we
Yeah.
can talk about all this other stuff. But the other alternative is
Hold it in.
we don't do any of that, so we pat ourselves on the back. I didn't snap on anybody else.
Right.
But you know what you also didn't do? You didn't share with anybody. You didn't release it at all. And so now you're just holding it in.
Right.
And that's on top of the last one you held
Woo.
in. On top of the last one you held in.
Woo. And what happens when all of them are held in?
You have
That's what I'm saying. So it's a toxic environment inside yourself, because we're living in a society that doesn't make it easy for us. I'm not saying they don't allow it, because I think that's pretty extreme. It's not about what society does or doesn't allow. Society doesn't make it easy for us to openly share.
Right.
But what we're doing right now through the Alert and Calm podcast is just an example of us being intentional about, even when it's not easy, we're going to intentionally create space
Right.
where we can share, and we are hopefully influencing a stronger and more prominent culture among other men, where they are speaking about things that we deal with and feel, and so I think that one of the truest forms of being a king is self-mastery.
Ooh.
Yes.
And so when we can say, I acknowledge that I feel how I feel, I'm very angry right now, or I'm very upset, or I'm very hurt by what just happened, I still get to dictate how I'm going to respond and or act.
Yes.
And there's a reward in that, isn't there?
Yeah.
And one thing I want to, it stuck in my mind when you mentioned it, like focusing on wellness. And I want to tie it to like the relationships. So when you say we're focusing on yourself and your wellness and your spirituality, your spiritual life, your physical life, your emotional life, like you're like, I need to like really focus on me. I really need to like make this better, make this person better and feel better. And once you start focusing on yourself, what happens is it's like being a people pleaser and hanging on to relationships that are not pouring into you or not serving you. And you're sitting here and you're withdrawing into those relationships, hanging on to relationship after relationship after relationship, friendship here, friendship there, friendship here. And it's not to say that they don't mean anything, right? But it's like the minute you're that person that everyone's just kind of like, man, it's him, like, here we are, like, and now you got to be like this person. You put on that hat. You got to be this person for that person. Anyway, all those relationships, it's funny how when you start to focus on yourself, they just start falling off. They just start falling off. You feel the detachment. And what happens is, it's like you look back, you're like, where's so-and-so, man? Like, we used to, but then you realize, oh, all we really did was drink. Oh, all we really did was chase tail. Oh, all we really did was go eat fat, unhealthy foods. You start realizing like, these are the things I'm trying to like stop. These are the things I'm trying to like get better at. So no wonder that relationship detached.
Wow. Yeah.
Because you are deciding to like focus on yourself and get better. And so that way you can like do all the things we're talking about, that future 60-year-old self.
Yeah.
And creating peace and being well. And now it's just like the minute you focus on that, it's like, wow, I don't know, he's different now.
Yeah.
He's different. He's not the same person anymore. But it's just like, well, I'm seeking God. I'm seeking a higher level of life. I'm seeking a higher level of vibration. My household is what's important to me. How's my wife? How does she feel? How am I bringing a certain energy into my household?
Right.
These are the things like that I'm thinking about. And it's just like when you notice, like now you build clarity while you're in the process of wellness and creating wellness for yourself. You're building clarity in the sense of like, well, you know what? I focus on what really matters to me, what makes me feel good, what's going to help me keep these things at a level that I need to keep them at in order to like move forward in my entrepreneurship and building my brand and building and just through life in general.
Yeah.
You just start noticing all these relationships just start detaching. And it goes to say like that when we were talking about like that lonely feeling, is that a sense of, did I reach some kind of sense of success in the sense of like what I was focusing on, my wellness? Am I succeeding towards wellness because certain relationships detach from me? Or are you just lonely?
Yeah, I think there are friends for every season. You know, and just as sure as, you know, you can look back and say, man, I had friends who I used to go eat the fatback food with. You know,
Big back food.
the big bag food, right? You also have friends that you literally find excitement with eating good, clean food.
Yeah.
You know, we experienced that even just yesterday. We were like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
can't wait for you to taste this. This is purely mushroom. This is this." And like, so with this evolution, we have to accept the fact that there will be a natural trimming away of certain relationships, certain things, which is kind of why, and I would not call myself some kind of hardcore minimalist. It's not that deep. But I have been more conscious of what I'm adding to my life, because
Right.
there are certain things that just don't fit the season.
Yeah.
And just holding on to things that you used to have, or just accumulating things just because it might fit, or it's about being comfortable with what is necessary. Not always having to have so much abundance and extra, but even relationally, like, I'm comfortable with what is necessary. I don't need 1,000,000 friends. I just don't.
Right.
I don't even need new friends. You know, when I move to a new place, I got brothers. I ain't sweating people like, hey, what's your name? Da, da, da. Like, I'm cordial with folks and I'm building community gradually, but organically, because I'm not thirsty.
Right.
Because my supply has already been met. And so if I was one that was not comfortable with that, I would probably get a little stir crazy, because I'm always craving, you know?
Yeah.
But
Right.
there is a certain level of peace that comes with, you already have what you need. Relax. You have it. And even if it's quiet at the house this evening, it's okay.
Right.
It's good. Sit in this quiet space. Maybe embrace that quiet. You can hear your thoughts. You can actually check in with how you're actually feeling for real.
Right.
You know, and not just continue to busy yourself with stuff and distract yourself with stuff. Just take this is a gift.
Yeah.
It's a gift to be able to sit still. And all of that starts to get lumped into this category of loneliness. And it's such a negative connotation, when the gift is, I have serenity.
Wow.
Right.
You know,
I get to
I
have
get
solid-
I get to
solitude.
have solitude,
Yeah.
peace, and quiet. And if I want to add something, it could be music of my choice. I could put on a film that I want to check out. I could add something if I wanted to, but honestly, if I wanted to sit here, drop the lights low, and look out at the city, or if I wanted to burn some candles and do blah blah blah, like, there's so many things you could choose to do in that space, but I think we're conditioned to so quickly give it up. And this goes back to what we were saying earlier about being able to receive gifts. There are times where God himself will give us a gift of peace and quiet and solitude. We can't even receive that.
Right.
He's like,
Wow.
man, something is odd. I need something loud. Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just so not accustomed to it
Yeah.
that you quickly jump out of it.
Yeah.
It's like, no, sit right there. That's
Yeah.
a gift that you've been given.
Right.
Yeah. And my supply
Yeah, the
has been
supply.
met.
My supply has been met. I can tell you, I have some strong brothers, strong sisters, like good relationships. I have no wants.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not hurting for
Amen.
anything. You
Amen.
know, and I'm grateful for that. You know, I'm very, very grateful for that. And I pray that I can be among the number for those individuals as well. Like, you know, when they think of me, that they say, like, that's a real one. You
Yeah.
know?
You're a real one for sure. Both of you guys. These are my strong brothers right here. A powerful time, amazing time. Alert and Calm podcast. Look for us on all streaming platforms. I think the major thing is that, you know, men start to hear other men speak about the things that are important to men. And we elevate and we expand from there. So thank you for listening.